Hello everyone, welcome to the Veera Srivastava show. Yes, I do have a show now. This is a podcast on UI UX design, freelancing, and absolutely everything else we find cool and crazy. Today's episode is going to be on the top 5 predictions I have for Config 2025 that might happen, that should happen, that are inevitable in the future. So let's just dive in. Alright, so Config 2025 or the Figma conference is right around the corner. It's happening from May 6th to 8th in San Francisco, and also there's a London event on May 16th. And while most people are guessing what might happen, I'm going all in on what I think should happen. Today I'm sharing my top 5 predictions on how Figma could completely change the game from complete website publishing to designing entire apps. This is going to be a wild ride. Some of these are wild predictions, some of these are just inevitable, and a few might just happen sooner than we think. So let's just dive in. Alright, I've got my notes. I've got you guys, let's go. Number 1, Figma launches websites, which is going from designing sites to now publishing them. And this is a really fun topic to just talk about in the beginning, because recently on Twitter there was a wild trend going on where everyone was talking about Figma is going to launch a design feature, a website feature directly from the share button, which is wild and also seems inevitable, right? Because when you have technologies like Framer and Webflow openly available, it makes sense to expand into that direction. But getting into that industry in itself, where Webflow and Framer have been doing that exact same thing for years now, is going to be a major step. So I do think this could happen. Alright, number 2, AI-only design mode, which is going from prompt to complete product. And I think this is going to be so fun as well, because Figma introduces a mode where typing a prompt builds your full UI, layouts, copy, flows, and even images, and design becomes conversational. So a little backstory right here. I've been around on the Figma space long enough to remember a time when we didn't have all of the different 3 Figma modes that we do now. Just 5 years ago, the only thing that existed inside of Figma was Figma Design. We didn't have FigJam or Figma Slides. So in the last 5 years, the speed with which they've just shifted around and created 3 different modes simultaneously inside of one app is a testament to how quickly they'll adapt and create new modes. And now when you look at the Figma AI drafts feature, which is getting good by the day, it seems natural to have a completely different mode which generates designs just based off of conversations. And this sounds crazy to people right now. Figma is using a Figma AI feature which is just generating first drafts. They do call it first drafts, if anyone was wondering, but letting AI take the wheel, letting AI have the full entire responsibility of making an entire UI and just being able to type out text is going to be a wild one. I think this is a very, very risky take, especially in the current climate. Number 3, Figma Dev Mode becomes a code editor. This is a fun one. This is a wild guess. And yes, I do believe this could happen, if not as a complete thing. This could integrate inside of Figma Dev Mode. Being a user of Dev Mode, it is easy to imagine Dev Mode leveling up, inspect of Dev Mode turning into edit, so that software engineers can now modify live components, generate production-ready code, and commit changes from Figma. So this is us now taking the code that Dev Mode gives us, maybe editing a couple of things out, and committing it directly to a repository in, say, GitHub. So this could work as the backend or a closely tied loop of the first prediction that I had, which was Figma launching websites, which is also a rumor going on now. When you have Figma launching websites directly, it makes sense to have an extension where you have a code editor inside of Dev Mode where you can micromanage things still using programming if you are a programmer, because we have that audience on Figma, right? And just being able to commit those changes directly. I think it would be interesting to see where the repositories of the actual websites would be hosted. I do think it might have to be GitHub. Right now, all the things that you do on Figma are saved in .fig files on Figma servers. It's just all in the cloud. And when you have actual websites, when you think about coding stuff up and just changing the stuff that is inside of Figma, there is going to be a lot of code. And there's going to be a lot of code that you need to save in formats other than .fig files, right? Code files are in themselves different formats of files. So I do wonder if they're going to use GitHub in the backend, if you would need to authenticate with your code account on GitHub or if this just happens directly on Figma servers. Alright, prediction number 4, Figma voice mode. So we talked about using text to generate entire UI designs in Figma, and now I want to take another similar take on that, which is controlling everything through the power of voice. So just no mouse clicks, no typing out weird crazy stuff, just the ability to be able to say create assign a page with 2 inputs and a submit button, and those voice commands now can turn into your complete Figma files. In the second prediction, we had us typing out text and that sort of going and creating a new UI design. This would be another level of taking the text that is put into the mic and then just changing it into text and then doing what we were doing before. But I think the reason this will just feel very different is because typing out does get tiring, and the ability to use voice with that would definitely give us interesting results. Alright, number 5, AI plugin builder, which is prompt to plugin. A little bit of backstory for this one. All of us use Figma plugins. If you, by the way, haven't yet used Figma plugins, what are you doing? Also, if you're looking for the top 5 Figma plugins you need to try right now, I'm sure the video is right over here. But with that said, plugins are really interesting and really useful, especially if you just go knee deep into UI design as a field. And some plugins just become indisposable, whether you have Iconify for icons, whether you have Get Waves for just getting smooth curvy waves and stuff. I think all of these are really interesting plugins that I've just used for so long now that they're just indispensable, that they just are. And sometimes we as designers want to create plugins, but creating plugins is a whole other headache in itself, because it's just not as simple as saying I want to create a UI design, and for the most part it does require programming. So I think it's going to be really interesting to have an AI plugin builder where you describe your idea, Figma builds the plugin, it generates the UI logic and settings panel automatically, and then anyone can publish it, build using those tools, no code required. With the way the world is structured right now, we're just so knee deep into building stuff with AI and no code everywhere. I think plugins are really something that people struggle with a lot, especially when it comes to, now I want to build a plugin to help not only myself but also these other designers. Now you need to know code to be able to build plugins, and if by some miracle they figure out a way to change a prompt into a plugin using AI, it just eradicates that whole need to know code. Eradication of need to know code part has led to so many good results over and over again for so many different brands and people, that I feel like having an AI plugin builder is just going to be a really fun thing to try, and also get really useful in the long run. So with that said, this has been my top 5 predictions for Config 2025. I know some of these seem a little far-fetched. All of these are very useful. I am excited to know what happens in the next coming days, whether any of them get launched. I do think Figma launching websites would just be the closest thing that we get, maybe, because there have been a couple of viral screenshots and stuff that I've seen, and they just make it easier to envision. But even if it doesn't happen, I do think it could happen, so we don't know yet. Anyways, this has been the very first video on this show. I hope you liked it. You can find all these episodes on any platform you find your podcasts on. I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep on watching.